Myron Swiston here, and I'm just a little bit behind on the stretching canvas and gessoing the canvas and the oil and acrylic review. I'm having audio visual problems on my part, my fault, but I'm going to continue with abstraction today. What's important, we'll give the definition, of course, of abstraction means basically from taking from the whole some essential elements, not unlike a legal document where you might have 200 pages. It's distilled down to 2 pages, and that contains all the values, the essential data and information that's required from that document. Of course, also as well, the the reality part of abstraction is to convey a visual reality. And not just clearly an abstract reality, but a visual reality. Now, abstraction, we have some really great examples of abstraction. One in the United States from an artist, Jackson Pollock, who does gestural abstraction and using a drip technique with stovepipe enamel. Jackson Pollock, of course, is trying to be less enculturated and break through the culture in which he was. As you notice with his work, there's no arms, no legs, no representations to nature. In Germany, we have an artist, living artist, called Gerhard Richter. He's produced paintings called blur paintings. And of course, Gerhard understands that between one idea and another idea, of course, there's a space. And in that space is a blur, and it's milliseconds and microseconds. But during that time, of course, it's a blur, of course, but in those times we're drifting, almost like in a dream state. So you've got two different kinds of painters who are painting in abstraction. Abstraction got a great boost and start from, of course, the invention of the camera in the middle of the 19th century, 1800s, middle of the 1800s. It allowed artists then, the camera took over from pure representation of classicism. The allowed artists then to begin to visualize impressionism, painting light and light particles and light waves. Post-impressionism, an expansion of impressionism, and of course pointillism, dots of light, and of course all these things led up to the early part of the 20th century, Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque with Cubism, and Cubism then reassembled the structure of reality to front and back and side and showed planes in the visual reality of the painting picture plane. And so we began to see the world differently. With the help of the camera, of course, we began Muybridge. We understood the horse at some time when they're running have 4 legs off the ground, which is known as the flying horse. Muybridge proved it with the Chinese knew several thousand years ago that the horse did fly, and so they were not attached to the ground. and like a bird they were able to fly, and quite elegant in the time, but my bridge proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that that really worked. But abstraction is not difficult to understand. Once you learn the language of painterly terms, such as plane and color and form and shape, abstraction is another way of, if you look at an iceberg, 9/10 are below the surface and 1/10 is visible. And so our life is like that, very much 1/10 visible, 9/10 not visible. And not unlike what we have going on inside of us, what I call the interiority of ourselves, which we communicate by sign, by signal. And so the language, it could be guttural. It's a garbled language. It's only understood unto itself. And seeing the way that the world is represented, and of course from this interiority, of course it spins out into the universe, of course, beyond us. And so as we become aware of the reality, we then become aware of ourselves, and of course the larger world that's beyond us. But it contained with all the 6 billion people that are in the world today, which have a chance to have a consciousness of each and every one coming together for consciousness. But for the artist, then, it is a difficult time to be able to understand and to break free from the culture. The culture impinges itself from our birth, our early years, formation years, from our parents, our schooling, our systems, to enculturate us in a way of thinking, of seeing, and behaving. The abstraction is a way through this enculturation process, so that we begin to understand what's in our heart, what's in our mind, what's in our soul, which is our personality, and the connections that we have with each other and with life. Now, the language is really, abstraction is around us all the time, in the form of things kind of that we don't understand at the moment, but later reveal themselves in truth in our growing understanding of how life is coming about around us. This then demands of the artist then to show a new way of living, a new way of thinking, a new way of being. The artist then tries, it's a difficult undertaking. The choice is commercial art versus creative art, which will be a different kind of undertaking. Thanks for now. I'm going to continue with this abstraction. I'm trying to get this audio and visual in sync so I can get beyond my technical problems to return to the gessoing, stretching, and the acrylic oil together and what they are. I will return soon. Bye for now.